Hey everybody, happy Sunday, happy Sunday. How's everyone doing out there? You know what, I was just looking at Reverb before this. Can you guys hear me okay? The sound levels today might be a little off, guys, all right? Because I'm trying a new setup. Yeah, we're live. How's everyone doing today? I just want to get a good thumbs up today because I've changed a little bit of the setup and the sound is... I'm using a different setup for the sound. Wondering if you guys can hear me okay. So please give me a thumbs up. I'm trying to pump the sound of the guitar into this system here. And I was always having trouble. So I got a little... very small mixer that I'm trying to get balanced out so you can hear the guitar and my voice. But I was having trouble getting the sounds right because it was coming in a little hot yesterday or not loud enough. So can you hear that? All right, guys, so welcome to Sunday Morning Live with Tony on Addicted to Gear. If you guys haven't been on this show before and it's the first time you're tuning in, then you definitely are in for a treat, I hope. There's a lot of great stuff on this channel, and every Sunday at 10 a.m. we go live to basically talk gear, catch up with the boys and girls too. Everyone's welcome. And talk gear, talk guitars, talk products, music, everything, you know, about rock and roll, basically. And so it's always a great group of people that show up here on Sunday. So I'm very happy to be here with you guys. And I want to just say good morning to everybody. So Vox, good morning. Alan, how you doing, my friend? Happy Sunday. Jack, happy Sunday to you as well. I'm going to jump into the questions right away, guys, along the way, you know, while I'm saying good morning to everyone so we don't waste any time today and jump right into it. So Jack wanted to know my thoughts on the Harley Benton 550 Plus. I noticed that you asked that in the chat earlier. And I like the Harley Bentons. Most of the Harley Bentons that I've tried are good guitars. I haven't tried the 550 Plus, but it looks like it's based on another model that they had, and they put in some active pickups into the guitar. I'm not a huge fan of active pickups, I'll be honest. I said that a couple of times before. I think a couple of people asked about you know, the fact that the active pickups are generally noiseless, and but the active pickups that I've tried, and I've tried EMGs that were put into a Gibson Les Paul, and I don't know, they sounded, there was something missing. I don't know what, I can't quite put my fingers on it. It's not that they didn't sound bad, but it's just like I don't know, maybe too hi-fi, or I can't really describe it, but I wasn't a big fan. So I wouldn't necessarily go out and buy the 550 personally, specifically because they have the EMG pickups in them. I'm not, you know, it wouldn't be a big selling point for me. But overall, I think the 550 model seems to be quite nice, and I don't think you could go wrong with that one if you're considering buying it, and if they're in stock, because I know that a lot of the Harley Benton stuff until recently haven't really been shipping. So if you're looking at that, maybe if they are shipping now, then grab it. If you want to try that guitar and you like the EMGs, I'm sure it's going to make a fantastic guitar at a reasonable price. Cheers, guys. I'm just trying to wake up this morning, having my coffee. These allergies are killing me, man. They started up, and I don't know, between the allergies, just not sleeping well at night, so I wake up kind of wrecked in the morning. So give me a couple of minutes to catch my stride here, and get into it. So Cushman is in the house. Jack is in the house as well. Gospel of Mark, good morning, my friend. Guys, if you have questions, ask them right away. We're going to get into it right away this morning. So Cushman says he's picked up a used Gibson SG with P90s, and he's loving it. Now, that's something I'd be interested in trying out. I'm not a huge SG fan, but SGs with P90s sounds pretty cool to me. So where did you get the deal, Cushman? You bought this used just locally or from a store? And are the P90s original, or were they swapped out with something else? I like P90s. I really do. I feel that they cut through the mix really well. And it's almost like a Telecaster on steroids, you know? Good morning, Wayne. Thanks, Cushman. Yeah, I'm playing the Harley Benton. Harley Benton. See you guys, what you guys are doing there. You're putting subliminal thoughts in my brain here. I'm playing the Tokai Black Beauty style guitar. I was actually looking on Reverb just before coming live to see what the prices are on these guitars. There's like 40,000 Tokai guitars on Reverb, and I didn't find one like this. So I'm just wondering what the prices are right now. This guitar is really a great guitar that I don't play nearly enough. Basically, if you like the Black Beauties and you don't want to pay $4,500 for it, this is probably the next best thing. Actually, in my opinion, better because it's not as heavy. The original Black Beauties are like they're like boat anchors around your neck. They're really, really heavy. This one has all the same features at a lower price, and you know, the bridge here is drilled right into the wood. It doesn't have sort of the retaining screws that you normally would see on some aftermarket type guitars. Great playing guitar, really nice neck. I'm playing through my MG300 multi-effects from NuX, and I have a JCM 800 patch in there, so it's a little bit. And actually, the strings on this guitar have to change. They're dead. I did a full review on this guitar on my channel if you guys wanted to check it out. This guitar I've had for a while. I bought it used, and I picked it up at a really, really great price. That's why I love buying used gear, because you get all of the deals that way. And I don't regret it one bit. If I have an opportunity to grab another Tokai, the ones that are made in Japan are great value. I have two so far, and I'm always keeping my eyes open for another one, but unfortunately, when they do pop up, they're not necessarily there at good prices. The value, and people know that these guitars have gotten, you know, they're a great buy, and the word has gotten out. So you have a hard time finding these at a good deal anymore. But if you do, and you know, you see one, grab it, because they're great. Avoid the Korean ones. I've mentioned that many times before. The Korean ones are not bad, but I would say the Korean-made Tokais are probably on par with the Epiphones, where the Japanese ones are definitely way better. So you're better off getting those. So top of the morning to you too, Cool Tunes. Hope you're doing well. Christian, nice to see you here. Quicksilver's here as well. I'm trying to not stumble my words this morning. It's that bad, I'm telling you guys. It's crazy how allergies mess up your system. Alan said sound is good, guitar is distorted. Yeah, distorted in a sense of what? Distorted, good distorted, or too hot distorted? If it's too hot, let me know. I'm gonna definitely lower it. Yeah, Quicksilver, I'm using the MG300, exactly. That's the multi-effects I'm playing through here. Hey, Alexis, how are you, my friend? I'm Seth, and I'm a gear addict. Welcome, Seth. We are all in the same boat, so we're here to support each other. So if any of you have purchased any new gear over the last week, I ask this every show just to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to, tell us and share the love for what they've picked up or maybe what you're considering picking up. It's a good time to put that in the chat. And let us all know about it so we can, live vicariously. If some of us haven't purchased anything recently and we're getting the withdrawal symptoms, it definitely helps to hear what other people have purchased. Randy's here from Southern Illinois. Nice to see you, Randy. Jerry's here also. So Fat Philosopher says, Harley Benton creeping up in price. I think I would prefer the Wolf LP copies. Yeah, I haven't tried one of the Wolf copies, but they do look nice. I think Harley Benton, the prices are getting more expensive, but I think it's across the board, I don't know if it's just Harley Benton, but I mean, everything's getting more expensive. And I don't know if it's, due to COVID, due to the fact that things are getting a little bit more difficult to source. But yeah, I think overall, have you guys seen the price of lumber lately? It's crazy. I've seen the price of a sheet of plywood go from about $32 almost to $80. It's crazy. So if the price of lumber is going up, guys, unfortunately the prices of guitars are also going to go up. Hey Darwin. Nice to see you, my friend. Okay, I'm just scrolling down here. I'm going to go all the way to the bottom. And so Fat Philosopher says he bought an ESP FX, almost bought a Korean Tokai for $250. Glad to have heard your opinion. Yeah, like I said, Fat Philosopher, they're not bad. I mean, for $250, you're still getting a very good guitar, but it's not going to be on par with the Japanese ones. So, if you try it out and you feel that it plays really well, you're still going to get a really nice playing guitar. Bruce says, no new gear this week. Had to spend all my money upgrading some video editing hardware and software for one of my side businesses. So you're doing porn, Bruce. Is that it? What's your porn name? So we can look out for you. I'm just kidding, man. I'm just kidding. Or maybe not. I don't know. Quicksilver says, gear news. I returned the GE300, but someone offered a Marshall Origin 50H for a G&L S500 tribute that I wasn't playing. It's the DI out that's interested me on the amp. Well, my opinion, if it's worth anything to you, Quicksilver, and this is strictly my opinion, the G300 you returned, okay, I understand that, I guess. Marshall Origin 50H is not a bad amp if you're using pedals to get your gain. The G&L S500 Tribute is a pretty nice guitar, so I've seen a Marshall Origin locally here being sold for $250. I think it was around $250. So I think overall those amps didn't get a lot of love, but they're great sleeper amps if you know how to use them, and you're not expecting something out of them that they can't deliver. Like if you're buying that amp and you're expecting metal out of that amp, you're not going to get it. But if you're looking at it from the perspective of a great pedal platform, they would work really nice. Seth says, I got a Fender made in Mexico Shoreline Gold 50s spec body to match a neck that I've got, and a made in Mexico Fender Rosewood board maple neck to fit a Warmouth body that I got. Oh, and I got a Fender USA neck and plucked it. So Seth has been busy with his necks. I'm actually looking for another neck for another Telecaster build that I'm doing. I I have one in the works, and I'm looking at building another one. So I'm looking for a Telecaster neck that in maple. So if anybody out there has one and is willing to sell it for a decent price, let me know. Ping me. You never know. Vox says, I like your video on Instagram of you playing the Telecaster this morning. Oh yeah, cool. Thanks, Ben. Yeah, that wasn't, I actually posted that yesterday. I was just, if you guys follow me on Instagram, I normally post videos here and there where I just play my guitars with, just recording through the telephone, the cell phone, not the telephone. But it's, you don't really get great sound that way, but, I don't really care. I'm not really doing it for the sound. I like to share some little things here and there. And that one was my my Reissue Telecaster that I was playing through my Fender Supersonic, and I was just playing a little Stones riff and having some fun. But it got me thinking that I don't play my Reissue Telecaster as much. It's not getting enough love, so I need to really spread the love around in terms of the collection, and also the Supersonic, which is back there. You guys can see it right there. I don't play it enough. I really don't, and it's a great amplifier, and I'm rediscovering it again after not playing it for quite a while. At one point, I was considering selling it, which I'm glad I didn't do, because it's actually a very good amplifier. A lot of people haven't really, I think, haven't tried that amplifier. They gravitate towards the Deluxes or the Princetons or the Basemans or whatever. But the Supersonic is really great in terms of giving you a nice clean platform, and it takes pedals very well. And then you also have the drive section, which allows you to get some really nice overdriven tones as well. You're definitely not going to get the Marshall tones out of it, but with pedals you can, and it's quite flexible. The thing I like most about that particular amp is the reverb is really nice, and obviously you do have the effects loop. It's surprising to me how Fender, if you guys don't know, Fender has recently released the Pro Reverb, the Custom Shop Pro Reverb, I think they call it now, which is basically the Pro Reverb with a mids adjustment knob added to it. And the Pro Reverb is a great amplifier as well. But it's strange to me that they reissued that amp and they did not put an effects loop in it. So, I would have almost pulled the trigger on that amp if it had an effects loop. But for some reason they didn't add it. It's kind of weird. I mean, who doesn't want an effects loop in the amps today? And if it's really a question of like circuit not sounding the same with the effects loop in it, I mean, you can do the same as what Marshall does and just put in a little push pot there in the back of it, and just take the effects loop out of the circuit if you want. I don't know. I just find it a little strange, but it's just my take on it. I don't know. Hey, Paul. Good morning. It's okay. You don't have to worry about being late. So Bruce says his official porn name is Mr. E. Why do you ask? So are you Mr. E because your string is the thickest? Is that what it's all about? Yeah, I could always use some side work. Why not? Oh, man. Seth says he's busy building. Always good to keep you out of trouble, Seth. When you're building guitars, you're usually out of trouble. I'm also working on a couple of different things as well, just trying to find better ways to speed up the process. One of the things that I hate most is actually having to paint guitars, because it just takes so long for the paint to dry. And really, it's an exercise in patience, because that's where most people mess up. They spray the guitar, they wait like a couple of days, and then they start like wet sanding it and stuff. And that's really something you can't do. You have to give the paint enough time to cure. Otherwise, it's still soft under the top layers and you mess everything up. So, for example, if you're using just regular spray paint, like nothing unusual, you should definitely let it dry at least 2 days between coats, and longer if you intend to start like wet sanding it. And a lot of people don't do that, and then you have to kind of like start over. And So I just like I spray it, I walk away, like forget about it, spray it, walk away, and it takes a long time. I really can't wait to get my purple Telecaster assembled. I have it all ready to go in terms of all the parts, but I'm not done spraying. I let it cure for quite a while. I started wet sanding it, and I noticed there were still some divots showing up in the finish, and I either could leave it like that and just let it go, or spray a few more coats and then wet sand again and check it again. But every time you spray a few more heavy coats, you got to give it a couple of weeks to dry. So it's really a long process. But I want it to turn out really good, and so far it's looking really great. I don't want to mess it up at this point. So you know, a couple more weeks won't kill me, but definitely it's trying my patience, you know, and it's really one of those things. So it's good to have a couple of side projects while you're doing that one, so it keeps you busy. So while one's curing, you can start assembling the other ones or sourcing the parts or whatever. So you always have something to do and something to move forward with, you know. So right now I have two of them drying, two guitars drying. I have one of them that's completely dry but can use probably a few more coats of clear on it, but I'm not going to get into that one right away. So it's always fun. Dan says he picked up a Marshall Studio JCM 800 and Yamaha Pacifica and intend to swap out the pickups to JBs and an SDS1. So the Yamaha Pacificas are great guitars. A lot of people really like them. I find Yamaha really makes great stuff. In terms of quality, they're really good. Quality control is great with Yamaha. I just feel Yamaha never got the limelight that they deserved. Like they never really became, you know, like as renowned as Gibson or Fender or anything like that, or even Ibanez for that matter. But they did make some really great instruments, and they make everything, right? You know, from boat motors to like you know, drums, pianos, guitars, basses, everything. So they know instruments for sure. The JCM 800 Studio is something that I was definitely interested in looking at. I used to own a full-size JCM 800, which was amazing. And I regret selling that amplifier, but it was really just too loud. It was like a monster, that thing. But had a great tone to it. And I ended up selling that amplifier. But the Studio JCM 800 seems fantastic. I think overall Marshall hit the nail on the head with the Studio series, guys. I really do. And I'm definitely gassing over the Studio Plexi. That's one of the guitars that I definitely feel like I want to grab soon. But they're out of stock everywhere. So where did you find yours, Dan? I guess you got lucky and found one before they were sold out, because I got the itch to pull the trigger just the other day. And I was looking at the Studio Plexis, and yeah, sold out everywhere, at least in Canada. I just received a new set of lace gold HSS pickups for my Strat. I'll work on them later today. Nice. Well, this weekend I wanted to definitely work on some of my guitars as well. The lace sensors definitely are a favorite amongst a lot of guitarists. And it's a HSS configuration for you. I always felt, at least for me, the HSS configuration is always a difficult one on a Strat. Let me explain. I always feel like when you're dealing with three single coils, you have the balanced output between pickups pretty you know, dialed in. There's not much to worry about. When you're going with a humbucker single, I always find that it's really hard to balance the output or the dynamics of the humbucker with the single coils. Maybe with the lace sensors it's different. Maybe they're dialed in a little bit better. But the ones I've tried, I always kind of regret going HSS. You know, I almost feel like I want to change to humbucker or all single coils, just to make it easier and to balance out the sounds. Maybe some of you have experienced the same thing, but that's just me. You know, I'm just real picky with the sounds. Yeah, so Quicksilver, you weren't impressed with the GE 300 that much. Too many bells and whistles. Too many bells and whistles, and more trouble than it was worth. Yeah, that's one of the things with the multi effects units. Totally agree with you, man. I often get tempted. I get pulled in, and I get tempted by these multi effects units. Um, there's a few nice ones on the way right now that are available or coming on the market. Every so often, I look at the Axe effects, and I'm like, yeah, that would be a good investment. But then I think back and I'm like, but I realize how much time and effort I put into creating sounds, and I really want to play more. That's one of the things I've been happy with myself lately. I've been playing a lot more behind the scenes, between shooting videos and working and all that kind of stuff. Just been playing more, and I'm getting a lot more satisfaction out of playing. So I definitely want to keep that up, and I feel that although the multi-effects units are fantastic for what they offer in the studio and in terms of sound flexibility, there's so much you can do, especially if you're like me and you're trying to record videos. Being able to go into the console without having to mic anything is fantastic. It really is. But I do still feel that if you learn how to mic cabinets well, and I haven't really mastered it. I'm still working at it, but I feel that the overall sound is still better. That's just me. You guys might disagree with me. So Quicksilver says that he has a nice pedal board, so he just needs a good amp, more than 15 different compressors, 25 overdrives, etc. Yeah, I get you, man. I get you, man. So what you need is a good pedal platform if you want to go with different pedals. So I would say definitely look at a good clean platform. For me, honestly, I feel that I'm more of a Marshall guy. But I feel that if you get yourself JTM 45, for example, those things make great pedal platforms because they're generally clean. They don't really have too much gain unless you really crank them up, and you don't really have to do that. And they take pedals really well. The just talking about that, as I mentioned, I got the itch to pull the trigger on the vintage Plexi, the Studio Vintage. I've been talking about that for a couple of weeks at least now, and I've been going back and forth trying to decide whether or not I should get it or not. And it's really going back and forth with me in my brain because I have a few great amplifiers that already do a nice Marshall tone, but they're not necessarily stock. You know what I mean? Like the Friedman is definitely more. It's supposed to be more JTM 45, but it's really more like a modded JTM 45. The Brunetti Plexi Man definitely gives me a lot of flexibility and is a fantastic amplifier, and that is really the amplifier that's been stopping me from buying the Marshall Studio. I did have a fantastic Plexi amplifier that was made by Rocket Retro, which I sold. And the fellow I sold the amp to, I'm still in contact with, and he's like, "Man, if you ever want it back or whatever, I'm happy to sell it back to you for the price that I paid it," because he's got a really nice collection of amplifiers, and he usually plays at lower volumes, and that thing is really loud. The great thing about the Rocket Retro amp is that it's completely hand wired. I mean, it's a work of art inside. Kevin at Rocket Retro has built a really great sounding amplifier, and the great thing is that he's not overpricing them. His prices are very, very reasonable for what he offers, and I got tempted to go back and buy that amp again, just buy it back because it had a beautiful effects loop in it. It had a master volume knob of the in behind it, so you can play it at lower volumes, and it's just a fantastic amplifier. And the price that they're selling the vintage Studio Vintages, the Marshall Studio Vintage models, they're about $1,000. I think they're $1,400 in Canada. then you got to add tax on top of that. So you're probably playing, you know, between, with tax and everything, probably about $1,700. And you know, the amp that I purchased from Kevin, I paid $1,008, and it has, you know, full 50 watts, hand wired, and it's beautiful. So I was considering, you know, what do I do? The thing is, that amplifier is still loud. 50 watts is really loud, and you're not able to crank that amplifier the way it should be played. If you play it loud, it sounds fantastic. It sounds phenomenal. But on the other hand, you know, you can't really do it. It's too loud. So the fact that the Studio Vintage has the effects loop in it, and you can dial it back to like very low wattage, has me extremely interested in that amp. Although it's not hand wired, it's still made in England from what I understand. And all the videos that I've watched on that amplifier are very good. You're getting the Marshall tone. I was a little skeptical, you know, thinking maybe because they've dialed back the wattage, it wouldn't sound as good. But from what I can tell, it's got that sizzle. So I'm still not 100% sure what to do. And on top of it, if that wasn't enough, there's more. I also came across an actual Marshall JTM 45 reissue being sold, which is also in the same price range. This is a real, you know, reissue from Marshall. It's not a clone or anything like that. Full-sized JTM 45. And I said, wow, that would be a really nice amp to add to the collection. Before I got the Dirty Shirley, I was really hot and horny over that amp, and I really wanted to get one, and they wouldn't pop up on the used market. So now I spotted one, and it's available, but it doesn't have the effects loop, because the originals don't have the effects loop. And that for me is something that I really enjoy using with my pedals. So I don't know. I'm still leaning towards the Studio Vintage for the time being, because I think it checks all the boxes. It gives me the Marshall tone, the effects loop, the low wattage, smaller, easier to carry, more portable. So I don't know. Talk me out of it, guys. What can I tell you? Cushman says, I have the Sound City Plexi Copy 100. It's freaking loud. Yeah, anything 100 watts, anything tube is going to be extremely loud. I really don't know how people do it these days, and why people still buy these full-blown 100 watt heads or amplifiers. I mean, unless you're playing on a stage unmiked or not going through the main board, you really don't need that much power anymore. Everyone's going low wattage, you know. Hey, Rico, good morning. Does anyone make a decent price dual non-latching foot switch? Need one for my Behringer. Dual non-latching. I think, well, the one I have here. What am I using here? I'm using this guy from Nuex, which is, I believe this is a non-latching version, because you actually have a selection here. So if you look at this, so you have AB. If you look in the back, there's a little switch here. This little switch here, you can either I can't speak, guys. You could either do close, open, or latch. See, I don't know if you can see that. So this is, it's built really well. It's like super good quality metal enclosure, and that's what I use. So if you're looking for something cheap and good, I would recommend that. I hope that helps. It's a dinosaur. Sometimes the dinosaurs are great, Cushman. Don't underestimate the vintage mojo, man. I wish Fender made a head version of the deluxe reverb. Yeah, that would be fantastic, wouldn't it? I don't know why they don't do that. It's weird, isn't it? They haven't really expanded on their options all that much. I think Fender's really sticking close to home in terms of their what they're putting out there. They don't want to. I guess they don't want to take too many chances. They know what people like, and they're kind of like riding that wave, I think. And they'll make like little incremental updates and stuff, but nothing too crazy, you know? Larry says, I played live for years with a 50-watt Marshall head and then a 60-watt EVH combo. They were both freaking loud. Honestly, guys, even people don't understand the ratio when it comes to sound. I try to make people understand this, and like, for example, the Brunetti Pleximan I have here can go down to 5 watts. It's a 50-watt amp, but it can go down to 5 watts. Even at 5 watts, it's loud, man. It's super loud. Same with the Black Star. So it's not people think, oh, it's going down to 5 watts, so I'm reducing it like 50 times. That's not how it works. Blood Rena says, hi from Spain. What is better for house low volume pedal platform? The Fender Blues Junior or a Boss Next Tone or any other suggestions? It depends on what you're trying to play there at home. Honestly, the Fender Blues Junior is a great small portable amp. I had one for the longest time. It sounds really well. It plays loud enough if you're playing with a band in a small, venue or practicing with a band. It can get pretty loud. And it plays really well. If you're looking for something that offers that kind of tonality, the Next Tone obviously gives you a little bit more flexibility. The thing is, I feel that, investment wise, you can't go wrong with a Blues Junior because everybody likes the Blues Juniors. And, when it comes time to flip it, if you want to, you're not going to lose a whole lot of money. Where I feel like a lot of the new amps that are coming out that are transistor based and, with the effects and all these options, they're great short-term solutions, but long-term, they kind of fade out in terms of longevity. It's just after a while people get interested in the next thing. They get distracted with the next bells and whistles that are being offered by XYZ company, and they forget about it, and then when you go to sell it, you end up taking a hit. I'm looking at the new / old Kramer Beretta single PU Floyd 1000 Duncan JB 700 USD, cheapest guitar with a 1000 Floyd. I've never had a Floyd. $700 is not bad, definitely not bad. And the Floyds, Floyds are great if you like Floyds. I've learned over time that I'm not a big Floyd fan. Unfortunately, I learned that the hard way. I tried numerous times to sort of get used to the Floyd. I've had various incarnations of the Floyd Rose. I had a Charvel with a Floyd. I've had a couple of different Ibanez guitars that had their version of the Floyd Rose in it. And at the end of the day, it always became more hassle than it was worth for me, because I'm not a big, I don't go crazy with the tremolo to begin with. I like having one, but the maintenance in terms of, string changes, mucking around with the locking nut that was never really locking, because although they say it doesn't go out of tune, it still does go out of tune. You have to really dial it in properly. Being able to change strings is really a balancing act. The entire thing has to be well balanced. It takes a lot longer to do. And then if you do break a string during a gig, that's it. You can't really do anything. Everything's going to go out of whack. So I would say it's great to have at least one guitar with a Floyd, just to scratch that itch if you're really looking for it. And the Kramer Berettas are great. I would love to have one as well. And $700 is not that bad. So it's great to have it. It's just, for me, it's a little bit of a hassle. So it's a selective thing that I would use here and there, but I don't think I would necessarily use it all the time. That being said, if you guys haven't seen the video I did on the Vega Trem, check out my videos. The Vega Trem is a great drop-in upgrade, if you want to call it that, where you can give sort of the flexibility of a Floyd with a regular Strat type guitar. It really fits into the guitar without modifying the routing. It's not locking, so you don't have to actually put a locking nut on it, which to me is actually a plus because I like to play with alternate tunings and different things, and you can't really do that very easily with a locking nut. It's a great compromise, and I actually put one into my Kramer Beretta Special, which I grabbed for peanuts. Upgraded the pickup on that, put the Vega Trem on it, and it plays like $1,000,000. Totally transformed a relatively cheap guitar into something really good. So that's another option. You can grab those Beretta Specials all day long for like $200 and do whatever you want with them. And even probably, with the upgrading of the pickup and whatever else, you still have some money to buy some strings at the end of it. And if you're handy with a router, you can possibly convert the Beretta Special into accepting a Floyd, route out the nut here, and put a locking system, and you're in business. Rico says he picked up a white Supro Delta King 10 yesterday from Guitar Center. Was eyeing the black one at Sweetwater, but Guitar Center had it for $100 less. So far, loving it. I never played the Delta King. I did have another Supro, the Dual Tone, which definitely had that vintage vibe in spades. I think that one was a really nice guitar. I bought that one on the spot. I bought a brand new on top of it. And I usually don't buy stuff brand new, but when I tried it, they had just come out. My local shop had a few like in stock, and I played it, and I grabbed it right away. And at that time I got it. The prices were less expensive because they had just come out. And I guess they were trying to promote them, get the word out for them. So I saved a couple of $100 on that, if I'm not mistaken. And I kept that one for a while. It had a great vintage tone to it. Definitely great for that Zeppelin type sound. I was eyeing the Black Magic, which was another version that they later put out. But it was just too expensive. And the Black Magic, from what I understand, is closer to that Zeppelin sound. The only thing that I discovered with the Supros is that they do that specific sound really well, but you're not going to get too much flexibility out of them in terms of just being able to cover more ground. In terms of cleans, like I was not able to get like the spank, like the Fender clean from that particular amplifier. So it was somewhat limited, but it was a great amplifier. I sold it, unfortunately. We'll maybe buy it again in the future, who knows. But for the time being, I'm pretty happy with the amps that I have right now. That being said, I'm always keeping my eyes open for something else. I've always been eyeing the Princetons, and they have a great sound, a really nice, clean sound to them. I just wish they had more balls, because I find that the Princeton are great, but if you try and drive them, they tend to become flubby. I just wish you can get basically a Mesa Boogie. The Mark 1s were basically a hot rodded Princeton, right? They put a bigger transformer in there, they put a more powerful speaker, and they were able to kind of transform the Princeton into a fire-breathing dragon, which is pretty cool. And I had one of those. I had the Mark III versions of the Mesa amps. The only thing with the Mesa amps was that they didn't have, it wasn't the same feel as a Fender. and it was a very immediate attack, and at least the one I had was a little bit harsh. It wasn't as smooth as I would have wanted it to be, so that's why I ended up selling it. But I wish somebody else would come out with another version of the Princeton, which would be a little bit of an upgrade. I know there's some boutique builders that have taken that circuit and done what I'm talking about, and I think Lazy J is one of the companies that does exactly that. Except they charge, I think it's like, I don't know, 20. I'm gonna say 2,200 euros for their amps because they're made in Europe, and that's a little bit more than I'm willing to spend. Yeah, the Princetons. Everyone needs a Princeton, I think. Seth says the Mesa Nomad will make you so happy. I haven't tried that one. You know what, Seth? I've said this before. I'm going to say it one more time because I've said it so many times. I've come to realize that I'm not a Mesa guy. I really, unless the Nomad could do something really special that I don't know about. I've tried so many Mesa amps because I like Mesa. I find that the quality is great. Obviously you have features and functions up the wazoo. Sometimes too many. But I bring one in. I like it. I like it for a while, but it's the frequency spectrum that there's something that just doesn't jive. The last one I brought in was the Lone Star Special, I think it was. Or was it the Special? No, it was the Classic, sorry. The Lone Star Classic, which is a great amp. A lot of people love those amps because you can get that Fendery kind of sound out of it. It definitely has the drive available. They're well made, they're well built, but it definitely, the frequency was not where I wanted it to be, and maybe because I'm so fixated, I guess you can say that, on the Fender Marshall sound, that anything that is not either a Fender or Marshall based tone sounds odd to me or sounds off. And so I sold them. I ended up selling it again. So after selling, I'd say, how many? 3, 4, 5. I lost track of how many Mesa Boogie amps I've had over the years. I just gave up. I'm like, forget it. You can get a great sound out of a Fender. And a lot of people are looking at boutique amps and all this kind of stuff and paying a lot of money. But honestly, a good Fender with some decent pedals, maybe an EQ pedal in there, can get you like super close to all of these like boutique amps, because a lot of them are based on the Fender circuit anyway. I don't know, but I'm gonna look at that amp, Seth, just because you're mentioning it, the Nomad. I've seen it many times. I've never tried that one. I'll look at some videos and I'll listen to it. I mean, the thing for me, Seth, is that I don't necessarily like. It's great if the amp provides me with great distortion, but I'm able to get a lot of different types of distortion with pedals. So if I wouldn't necessarily buy the amp just for distortion, but I have in the past. The thing is, when you buy the amp just for the distortion, it's usually lacking on the clean side. So I prefer almost basing myself on an amp that has a good clean to begin with and can be pushed with pedals. You have more flexibility that way, Let's see here. So we're talking about the Sawtooth Guitars. Fat Philosopher says Sawtooth has some unique features. For example, it has a 15-inch radius on a cheap Strat. I like the flat fretboard. Excuse me. I don't know if you guys have checked out Sawtooth, but they provide some interesting options on some guitars as well that are not necessarily commonly found on say like the Strats or whatnot. So if you're looking at another option for inexpensive guitars, definitely they might have what you're looking for there. Yeah, trainer amps. Trainer are very common here in Canada. A lot of them, I know there's one particular model sounds a lot like the JCM 800, but I have never actually purchased one, believe it or not. It's sort of like they're always available in the local shops, but I just normally gravitate towards the Marshalls and the Fenders, so I haven't really spent much time with the trainers. So the last video I put up, guys, just talking about different things. The last video I put up on my channel was the PRS SE, and with the Peg City 59 Classic pickups as an upgrade. So I put that up just because I wanted to, for your purposes and for my purposes, just to be able to compare the stock speakers with the upgrade, because it's extremely difficult to hear the nuances between I said speakers, pickups, between pickups when you're comparing, because your ears don't have a memory. You have to almost like A/B them side by side to really hear the nuances between. So I like to sort of make a video record for myself as well, and just play the stock speakers and then play again with the speakers. Play the stock pickups. Telling you guys, my brain's messed up today. Play the stock pickups and then compare the tones side by side just to be able to hear the nuances. And I appreciate you guys. Some of you guys have said it's very difficult to hear the different nuances through YouTube, and I totally get it, because it's very, very dependent on what kind of speakers that you're using. If you're playing through a phone, it's almost impossible. But if you're playing through headphones, sometimes you can pick up on the nuances. A lot of times the bass is lost in these recordings. That's why I use a fathead mic, because I like to kind of reintroduce a bit more bass. Otherwise, you really just get the mids and the highs that come through once the compression algorithms are pumped over the recording, unless you compensate for it. So anyway, long story short, I put that video up. You guys can check it out. The thing I can tell you from real life experience in playing both of those sets is that the PRS set that were originally in the guitar, what didn't come through in the video was the harshness. I think the compression algorithms kind of reduced that a little bit, and they're definitely brighter. They're definitely not as smooth. A little bit, I wouldn't say harsh, but yeah, they're a little bit on the harsh side. Whereas the Peg City pickups are definitely a whole lot smoother, definitely have more bottom end to them. They come across on the video as being a little darker, but you have to understand, I was also playing through a 412 cabinet with the Dirty Shirley, which is bass heavy, and it does definitely, I definitely add more bottom end with the fathead microphone. So when I was playing that same set through the Supersonic behind me just yesterday, completely different sound. So with the Supersonic, they sound beautiful. They don't have as much bass, but they sound really nice. And whereas the PRS pickups through the Supersonic sound even more bright and harsh. So the main takeaway is that it's super hard to base an opinion on a video, especially just one video. Like, to give you guys a good perspective on any kind of pickups, I would have to play through 2 or 3 different amplifiers, 2 or 3 different guitars, just so that you can get a bass reference for it. But honestly, I'm super happy with the Peg City pickups in that guitar. Again, my only advice, if you want to call it that, specifically for me, would be to get the neck just a little bit less bass and a little bit more mids, just so it cuts through. I'm actually talking to the people at Peg City, and maybe if the moon and the stars align, might actually come out with an ATG custom pickup, which would be wound specifically for my liking, and hopefully you guys might like that particular pickup set, and you end up picking it up as well. If that would happen, it would be really great. It would make me super happy. The guys over at Peg City Pickups are extremely responsive as well. So if any of you need any kind of specifics and you want to get a specific tone dialed in, check them out. Excuse me. The next, I know you guys are always asking me and razzing me about, what guitar I'm going to be putting the next pickup in. I'm going to tell you right off the bat, the next one I'm upgrading is going to be the, well, there's actually two probably that I'm going to be upgrading, at least, maybe more. But the next one I'm going to be playing with is the Chipson. So you guys have seen the video where I purchased a Chipson recently. And that guitar is a great modding platform. Fantastic, actually, just what I need to pass the time. So I'm going to be upgrading those pickups. Those pickups on there, I believe, are either Epiphone pickups or copies of Epiphone pickups, which are going to come out. And I got another set of Peg Cities that I want to try right here, actually. These, I mean, they look like standard humbuckers, so you're not going to really be able to see anything different. But these are they're called their two-stroke. And these pickups are a little bit more, I would say, probably modern sounding. These are also, they're both Alnico 5 magnets, whereas the classics, one was an Alnico 2, one was an Alnico 5. These are 42 gauge poly coat wiring, which I kind of like. I think that they sound great. And the output on them is, I think the neck is an 8 and the bridge is a 9. So I'm curious to see how it's going to bring the Chipson to life, because I like playing that guitar. I think it plays super nice, but the pickups are lacking. And these, the two strokes are wax potted, whereas the classic 59 that I had put into the PRS is not wax potted. So I'm gonna try that out and see how they sound. So that should be coming up relatively soon. I came close to actually almost installing the pickups yesterday, but I didn't because I was busy with other things and life takes over sometimes. So I didn't do it. But yeah, stay tuned because that's coming up as well. Seth, cool, man. Peg City's going in your build. Pretty nice. Which one? Which one are you putting in there? I like supporting any, builder, winder, shop that is Canadian, because I feel that as Canadians, we often get the short end of the stick when it comes to gear and pickups. I mean, we're always forced to buy pickups through a lot of, U.S. organizations or other organizations around the world, and there's nothing against buying US. It's just that as Canadians, we get clipped so hard on the exchange and the duties, and every time you buy something that's not made in Canada and it comes in, you never know how much you're going to be dinged for duties and that kind of thing. And sometimes it's crazy. It doesn't really add up. You buy something that costs $100 and you're getting like $30 of duties and extra charges. That totally doesn't make sense. And I always feel that they're pulling these numbers out of their butt sometimes, because at one point I called, I think it was UPS or FedEx, I don't know who it was, I don't remember, but I got like a really crazy charge, and I called and I'm like, can you please explain this to me? Like, how do you break this down to get this number? They couldn't do it. They didn't even know themselves. So I think they just like haphazardly pull a number out of their butt and put it on the papers and send it to you. Most people just pay it and don't say anything. Anyways, I'm just digressing. William says, I recently put an SD Pegasus and a whole lot of humbucker in my Balaguer. It actually sounds really good together. Very nice. Whenever I always try and point this out to you guys, and just so you guys know, in case you're messing around with pickups, because a lot of people that are not used to the nuances and the intricacies of changing pickups make this mistake. I've seen it done a million times, especially younger people, like younger guitarists that, they get a guitar and they're like, oh yeah, I just want to put a more hotter output pickup in the bridge. And they just, I don't know, they find whatever they like and they put it in there, and they don't realize that since it's not made by the same winder, they're actually out of phase. And then they say, oh, I didn't like that pickup. It didn't sound good. It sounded thin and harsh and whatever. Not knowing that the reason why it sounds thin and harsh is because it's out of phase. So you definitely want to check the polarity of the poles to make sure that you got a south-facing one and a north-facing one, and you don't have two souths or two norths, and then you're kind of out of luck. So, got to be careful, because a lot of times I've considered putting some pickups together and then I've checked them and they weren't what they were supposed to be. There's ways around it, but it gets complicated. So, we just keep that in mind. Definitely want to make sure you get the most tone out of your guitar. And if you buy a used guitar and you're not sure if the pickups are original, and if maybe the person that had that guitar before you experimented with different pickups, just check the pickups. Make sure the polarity is good, because sometimes they might mess it up not knowing either. They just might, like I said, just slap something in there and then, you're stuck with a guitar that sounds weird and you don't know why. And with the single coils, it's the same, right? Times 3. My dog's snoring, guys. Can you hear that? She does this to me every show. Listen. She's too funny. She's right there. She looks like she's... Anyways. All right. Larry says, I'd love a Japanese import hookup. Most guitars I'm interested in are from over there. I don't have a hookup in Japan, unfortunately. I'd love to try out a few more Japanese guitars. There's a few builders that are putting out some really nice guitars. I've seen some really nice Strat style guitars that are being made in Japan or overseas, with all of the bells and whistles that I'm after. And a lot of, I guess they're eyeing what some of the other companies are putting out, like Sir and Ibanez and whatnot, and are putting out some really great looking guitars, at least, with all the functionality at a lower price. But the thing is, again, with the exchange and ordering something from overseas, are you going to get it in one piece? How long is it going to take? Are you going to have to wait like 6 months? That is my only concern. Otherwise, I have no problem with Japanese guitars. I love the ones I have. I mean, like I said, this is a Japanese Tokai, man. This one kicks ass. So I have no problem with that. Where was I? I lost my place. Let me scroll back a little here. Hey, Landon is in the house. How's it going, Landon? How you doing, my friend? He says there's a class action lawsuit in the news going on for DHL hiding fees. UPS had similar lawsuits a few years back for hiding their... Yeah, man, they're all crooks, man. I'm telling you. I don't want to get sued, but I've dealt with one or the other. I'm not going to tell you which. And honestly, they're like, it's highway robbery, okay? And they're just not doing it to you. They're doing it to companies all over the world. So I don't want to, anyways, whatever. But I'm glad you're here, Landon. Hey, if anybody wants to check out another great channel, check out Landon Bailey's channel. He does guitar reviews, and he always posts some great stuff on one guitar or another. and just mosey on over to his channel and take a look. What else? Yeah, don't forget to mention that pickups can also be adjusted for sure. Fat Philosopher, the classic, put the pickups in backwards. A lot of people do that, man. I've done it. I've done it early on. That's why it's making me laugh. And adjusting the pickups is a whole other art form. And a lot of people do it wrong. I'm gonna just give you a little, gonna give you guys a little tip. It took me a long time to learn this one, but it definitely works really well. When you're putting in pickups into your guitar, often, people will dial in their sounds. They'll put the pickup a certain distance from their strings, and they usually leave it at that. They're like, okay, it looks about right. That's good. But oftentimes that's not enough, right? You have to some pickups definitely have more output, need to be further away from your strings. Others could be closer to the strings, depending on what kind of configuration you have. One of the things that I tend to remind people is that because you do have a magnetic pull, if you put your pickups too close to the strings, you actually are deadening the strings. They don't vibrate as freely anymore because the actual magnetic pull is stopping them from vibrating. So that's not a good thing. And what I like to do when I dial them in is I try to bring them up to the point where I hear like a woofy tone, where it starts getting like, not distorted, because you won't really get distortion like that, but it's like more of a, I call it a woof tone. I don't know how else to describe it. And then I back it down a little bit so that it just goes away. And often if you dial in the worst sounding pickup first to sound good and then base the other one on that one, you usually get a better tone. So let's say you're having a more difficult time dialing in the neck for whatever reason, because maybe the neck sounds too bassy, so you need to back it off or whatever. Dial in that one first and then base the bridge on that sound, so you get a balanced output. Otherwise, you often are, just playing cat and mouse. You're just trying to, the neck is too bassy, then the bridge is too hot, and so on and so forth. So this way, you definitely have an easier time dialing it in. I definitely have to change the strings. Yeah, they're not as lively as they should be. I gotta put that down. I'm constantly tweaking my stuff, so I make little notes and I put them in the case, because sometimes I'm like, yeah, it's time for a neck adjustment. The humidity's changed again. And so I'll just write on a little piece of paper what needs to be done. So at the next string change, while I'm changing the strings, I'll remember to adjust the neck, to clean the fretboard, or whatever I need to do. If there's a high fret somewhere, and adjust that. I just put it in the case, so when I pull it out next time, I remember. Otherwise, I tend to forget. And when you have a few guitars, you're constantly fixing one thing or another. I know there's one of the, I don't know if it's this one, had to change or clean out the switch. No, it wasn't this one. So I think it was one of the other Les Pauls. Anyways, getting back to you guys. I've been buying direct for the last couple of years and have no issues with DiMarzio. I do know that they are holding back from their third parties though. I'm not, I've tried a couple of DiMarzios, and I have to say, I would have to say that I prefer the Seymour Duncans. Again, take that with a big grain of salt, guys, because I really haven't tried that many different models of DiMarzio pickups. So the ones I've tried were the noiseless ones, they had the Area, I think it was the Area 51s and the Area 69s, which were supposed to be single coil pickups that were supposed to sound noiseless. And I'm not a big fan of the noiseless pickups, so it didn't really tickle my fancy. And I kind of didn't try other ones. So again, they might have some really great sounding pickups, but I haven't really tried that many. So I don't want to say that they're bad or anything like that. It's just the couple that I've tried, I didn't really like. How many people will have to get a loan if they change strings on other guitars at the same time? Dude, I'm buying strings in bulk right now, and I wish I can get discounts somewhere because, yeah, it's costing me a fortune. Between the regular string changes and the fact that I often do pickup swaps, you know, like the ones I'm going to be putting into the other guitar I just told you guys about, every time I do that, I change the strings, right? I mean, it's hard to reuse the strings unless you're super careful and they have a lot of winds on it and you take them off carefully and then you can at least put them back until you dial it in. So it costs me like a pack of strings every time I do that, and it gets very expensive. So, you know, everything costs money, man. It's like, anyways, these are first world problems, right? Boo-hoo, poor us. We have too many guitars. I'm never going to complain about that. Lace pickups list on their website how far the pickups should be on the strings. Yeah, that's a good point. Most of the companies that make pickups will also give you a suggestion. However, the actual distance is really up to you. You know, if you measure the standard pickup heights that they come, you know, from the factory with, that's sort of like the suggested norm. Let's say but you have to adjust it. And a lot of people forget. The other thing is that, you know, there's a reason why the pole pieces have little screws in them, right? You can adjust those as well. And a lot of people don't consider that. And especially on a Les Paul style guitar, we forget there's still a slight radius on the strings. So you can definitely dial those in a little further. But a lot of people just don't do that. Some pickup companies that I've dealt with actually send you the pickup with the pole pieces like dialed out, like sticking out on purpose so that you remember to dial it in the way you want. And I think that's a great idea because a lot of people forget that. I haven't tried the Thornbuckers. I got tempted by the Thornbuckers. I wanted to at one point convert my Sir HSS guitar into a humbucker layout, and I thought putting the Thornbuckers in that guitar would be a good option. I didn't do it, however. I'm still playing with that idea, but I would have to get a special pickup made from Sir because you're not going to get an aftermarket pickup that's going to fit. You know, I contacted them at one point, and they're able to do it. Just the pickup's going to cost me like $70. And then, you know, the shipping, the handling, the duties and all that. And when everything's said and done, including the Thornbuckers, you're looking at a $300 to $400 upgrade, which I didn't necessarily want to invest in at the time. So I just left it as is, but it's still kind of on the radar. It might be something I'll do later on. I like the Sir guitar that I have. The Standard Pro is a great guitar in terms of the feel, the neck is fantastic. Again, it's the HSS configuration for me. I just haven't found the correct combo. And even the pickups that came with the guitar originally, the Sir setup, it sounds good, but it's like individually they all sound great, but as a whole, it's just not the balance that I'm looking for. So I'm still searching. Strings are the best gift for guitars. 100%, Rich. For me, I mean, if somebody would give me a gift card or something and say, "Here, Tony, you know, here's a $50 gift card for strings," I'd be so happy, man. I'd be so happy with that. Yeah, Jeff Shields, the Iron Gear Blues engines. Well, the pickups in here are Iron Gear pickups. These are Tesla Sharks. If you guys haven't seen the video, go check it out. It's I removed the stock pickups that were in here, which were actually Godo pickups, which I kept because they did sound good. I'm not gonna say they didn't sound good. They were not wax potted. These are wax potted. I would say the original pickups sounded a little bit more open, but these ones have a little bit more bite and focus. So I kept these in. But I always keep my pickups just in case I want to go back. But these are iron gears as well. And the thing with iron gear is that they do seem like they're a good deal because the price doesn't seem very expensive. But you have to remember, it's in euros. You are getting charged extra fees. Well, I am. Import fees and all that kind of stuff. So at the end of the day, they're a little less expensive, but not as much of a good deal as you originally imagined them to be, if you do the math. William, going by ear is probably the best way of doing it, honestly. A lot of people think it has to be 5/8, or what is it, 532s or whatever it is, not 5/8, which, I mean, again, it's a ballpark. You have to dial it in according to what you hear. So that's the best way of doing it, for sure. Yeah, it's definitely hard to get a Telecaster with a neck humbucker to balance. One of the Telecasters that I have, the red one, which you've probably seen in one of my videos, the Road Worn, that one originally came with a 59 in the neck position, and I swapped out the pickguard and just changed it back to the standard Telecaster configuration because it was, I don't know, again, the balance. Because also the pot, right? The pot has to be, I mean, typically you use a 500K pot for a humbucker and a 250K pot for a single coil. And then when you're dealing with a humbucker single coil configuration, you got to kind of split the difference and go somewhere in the middle, which means like they both sound a little bit weird. So, I mean, there's a whole bunch of switching options available today that allow you to do certain things, which will give you the right configuration. But again, it's a different expense, and you gotta buy the right stuff for it. William almost bought a Thornbucker yesterday, so why didn't you buy it? Why didn't you grab it, man? Vox says the best pickup company is Ford. Yeah. No company has more experience making pickups than Fender. Yeah, I would say that's true. I mean, Fender, Gibson, they've been around a long time. Larry's thinking of putting a Thornbucker in for his PRS. That's always a cool option. What PRS model are you thinking? Is that an SE, Larry, or Tony has the largest collection of stock pickups everywhere. Honestly, I have a box full of pickups. I gotta start like liquidating some of those pickups. The cool thing is that I always find somewhere else to use them. You know, there's always gonna be a worse set of pickups somewhere, so you can at least upgrade with a set of pickups that you pulled out from another guitar and upgrade the pickups that were even worse sounding than those. So it's that's why I don't really get rid of them that often, unless, you know, there's a specific reason to do so. I recently got my first HSS style guitar, Vola Origin 22. I'm trying hard to like the pups, but I don't know. I'm not Viking with them. Are you, tell me a little bit about the Vola, because the Volas look like they're pretty nice guitars. Unique shape for sure, but they look like they have nice features on them. Iron gear is in pounds, and now we all need to pay for import duties and VAT. Thanks, Brexit. Exactly, so they're not as much of a good deal. That's why I like to buy and I like to spend and encourage winders in Canada as much as I can. Yeah, that would be a good video. It might be a little boring. Vox suggests that I would make a video detailing on how to adjust pickups. Yeah, sure, I can do that. Except, you know, a lot of people are going to get bored by watching you turn a couple of screws. But yeah, for sure. That's something I can put on my list. I'm also a double humbucker type of guy as well. Yeah, that's the challenge, is being able to buy something, having enough faith in a manufacturer or company to be able to buy their guitars without necessarily having an option to try them. It's always a tricky thing. Quicksilver says, at the end of the day, I don't think Iron Gear is that far removed from the Artec hierarchy, meaning that you can probably find the equivalent from GFS. Probably. Honestly, I think it's probably the same companies making these pickups. So the thing is, there again, you're buying a pickup based on not being able to try it. You don't have a return policy. You can't return them. And often you're just trying to try and gauge what sound you're going to get from videos. And it's really hard, especially for pickups, because honestly, the signal chain you're going through is going to make it a night and day type of thing, where you can hear some people playing through a specific type of pickup that sounds amazing. And then another, other guy is recording it differently or playing through other things. And it's like, meh, nothing great. So you really have to try. So it's really trial and error, Hobo Bob says, first time joining a live stream, recent subscriber. Well, welcome. Wondered where you're located, if it's not too much to ask. I'm in Montreal. I'm in Canada. So welcome, Hobo Bob. If you have any questions, feel free to join in the conversation. Okay, so it's an S2 McCarty 594. Okay, cool. I think in that particular guitar, honestly, in my opinion, most of the PRS guitars, and again, take it with a grain of salt because I'm the main pickup swapper guy here, I would say that you can definitely get better sounding pickups. In general, I think PRS has not caught up with the quality that they're putting out in terms of guitars with their pickups yet. And the same holds true, I would say, for their amps. There's a couple of amps that do sound good, but it's hit and miss, for the amount of money that they're asking for anyway, specifically, right? So would I go out and buy a set of PRS pickups to put in one of my guitars? Not currently. I wouldn't look for the PRS pickups. I'd be looking for something else. So that, I guess, says a lot, right? I want to build a Telecaster Deluxe from Wormouth now that Fender is selling I don't even know what that is. The Kunif wide range humbuckers? I don't even know what that is, Quicksilver. I gotta do my homework on that. All right, cool. I gotta check that out. Something else I gotta do homework on. I always come out of these live sessions with homework, which is fun. I like that. Tony, they sell stereo single shaft dual pots. Yeah, exactly. Sorry, Bruce, I didn't catch your comment until now. Exactly. Yeah, you can actually, the dual pots with 250 and 500 on the knob, so you can attach each to the appropriate pot. So that that's exactly what I was trying to say a few minutes ago. And that is definitely the way to do it if you're looking at putting in a humbucker in a single coil. And maybe that's exactly what I need to do. Maybe I should try that first on my Sir before I actually swap out the pickups, because I'm positive that's part of the reason why the tone doesn't jive with me as much. Seth says, I put DiMarzio Billy Corgans in my latest Hardtail Strat build. They are so good. Really versatile. I haven't had an opportunity to try those, Seth, but I'm glad you told me they're good. How do you feel that what is the main difference between those and, let's say, I don't know, a set that we all know. Let's say, I don't know, like Texas Specials or something like that. I don't know. How would you, can you give us an idea of what you like about Billy Corgans compared to those? I'm just scrolling down on the questions here. Take it easy, Cushman. Thank you for joining us today. I can get a Floyd Rose original for around 150 bucks. Well, if you're a Floyd guy, definitely grab them when you see them because they're getting, I mean, they're expensive and often they're not in good condition when you find them. So if you find something that's in good condition for 150 bucks, grab it. Grab it. Iron Gear 6TS are Korean pickups. They're clones of 57 of a 57 Strat. Just got a whole set for $30, $35 Canadian. Sample. Working out a deal to sell them under my own brand. I need to try them out first. Cool, man. I mean, the price is right. And they're clones of 57s. I'd be curious to hear those. Yeah, that would be something cool. 57s sound great. So Hobo Bob's also in Montreal, looking at used guitars and to get back into it. Be careful, Hobo Bob. Be careful. That's why we're all here. That's how we all started. Just looking. Just looking. You guys might have noticed I got this rack here, this thing here. I'm gonna get rid of this thing. This is a Hercules standing rack for guitars that holds 2 guitars. I like the fact that the Hercules system have the mechanisms to hold on to the neck of your guitar, but I'm always worried because they don't have anything supporting the bottom. So if they fall and they hit the ground. And I find that it takes a lot of room. So I bought this a while ago and I've been using it, but it's not enough. And I still have the individual individual stands as well. And it's becoming a pain. So what I'm probably going to end up doing is I'm going to get another one of these things here. And that'll be that. I need to make more room and keep things like organized in here because clutter is not your friend. It makes you waste time. I do know what you mean. I'm the same way. Luckily, the neck feels fine. The only issue I can't get for the low E loud enough without getting the double effect when I raise the pickup. Yeah, that's the trick with the pickups, man. It's just getting into the little nuances and dialing them in properly. But when you're there, you're kind of in the home stretch. You're not far off. Says Corgan once infamously said that white paint has better tone. Tone paint. Have you tried out the Mustang micro headphone amp yet? That question comes up quite often. I haven't. No, I have not. The only thing that I've tried recently that is kind of like, a portable type of amp is the what do you call it? This guy here, the Mighty Plug, which plugs into headphones. But no, I have not tried that one. A lot of people tell me it's great though. By the way, guys, I did not have an opportunity to put up the video for the giveaway for this guy, but I'm going to be trying to put it up this week. I'm actually going to take some time off from work, so I should have some extra time and catch up on a lot of the videos that I've been meaning to finish up to put online. And like I told you guys first, because you guys are here every Sunday, tune in because you're going to have an opportunity to win that pretty cool unit, and that's probably going to be later this week. Jeff, having a brew in my ATG mug. Well, thank you, Jeff. I hope it tastes good. I hope it makes your coffee taste better. The ATG mugs are available, guys, in case you guys don't know. Underneath my videos, I have some swag. You can get Addicted to Gear t-shirts, stickers to put on your guitar cases, or, a mug and different things. Just helps the channel. I get some residual, very little, but some, from the sale of those items, and it helps the channel. So if you feel inclined to grab something, it would be much appreciated. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that, man. The other thing I wanted to talk a little bit about today, and I got sidetracked with all of the other things that we were talking about, is just, I had mentioned rediscovering how great the Fender Supersonic is, in my opinion. The other thing I noticed is that often different pedals, like we were talking about how the pickups react to different amps, that would seem very obvious, right? Wouldn't it? I mean, you're playing a guitar and it's going to sound one way in one amp and another way in a different amp. It almost goes without saying, but it really is interesting because for somebody who does not have more than one amp, you wouldn't really catch on to that. So if you're playing a pickup through a specific amp and it doesn't sound right, automatically you think, well, those pickups don't sound good. But then, not knowing that if you play the same pickups in another amp, it's going to sound great. So this is why chasing tone is such a big challenge, because there's so many variables. There's so many variables to tone. The pickups you're using, the strings you're using, the guitar, the picks, how you play, what style of music, how you have your amplifier dialed in, whether or not your pickups are out of phase and you don't know it, the pedals you're using. Some pedals play so well with certain pickups and others not so much. There's so much to it, right? And so these are the type of things that if I play this same guitar through different amps on my videos, you would think that the pickups are completely different, even though they're not. So that's something that you definitely want to keep in mind. But I think a lot of people get stuck on that idea, or maybe either stuck on that idea or overlook that idea completely. It's one of the two. Again, they automatically disqualify a pedal or a pickup, not giving it full potential. So I would say, before you actually determine whether or not a pickup is good for you or a pedal is good for you, try it in different configurations. Different speakers have a totally different effect as well. And in back of me, every single one of these cabinets has different speakers in them. So depending on what speakers I'm playing in, will change the sound, make it night and day. Night and day. So Rico says his wife got one for his birthday. Love it. I run it through my Bluetooth speaker. Makes a killer mini amp. The other thing I've tried for these amps, the Yamaha HT series are cool. If you're looking for a Bluetooth amp to practice at home with, they make some really nice amps as well. Sound pretty good to me. Of course, there's the Spark. If you guys want to try that, the only thing, in my opinion, is that we're going through the same process. If any of you guys are as old as I am, you'll probably remember the big stereo layouts that we used to have when we would listen to music, right? You would have, your receiver, you would have your power amplifier, you would have your tape deck, so you have all the different components in the stereo unit, and the great big speakers and all that. And they sounded great at the time. And slowly, with technology, we got rid of the vinyl. We went to CDs, which were supposed to be better because they don't scratch and whatnot. and then from CDs we went to MP3s, and now everything's streaming, and the requirements for a stereo system disappeared. Like nowadays, you can buy stereo components for peanuts because nobody's using them anymore. But the reality is, everybody's going to these Bluetooth devices that sound awful, and we've forgotten how great it sounds. When we're streaming through our phones and streaming through the Bluetooth devices, we've forgotten how great the sound originally was. And it's funny because a friend of mine who's just, I would say, I don't know, 10 or 12 years younger than me, so he didn't really, I guess, know or remember how great vinyl sounded. And recently he's like, oh, I dug up a record player, an old record player at my parents' house, and I plugged it in and I played some vinyl and it sounds awesome. And I'm like, yeah, it sounds awesome. It's like we forget. And so we move towards new technology and we forget how good the old technology was. And that's how I feel about all these Bluetooth devices that are coming out for guitars. They do definitely serve a purpose, but I'm not going to say that they sound better. When you play one of those and you play with a tube amplifier or whatever, it's just night and day. So I'm not going to say they're bad, because yes, if they get you to practice and it's portable and you have the ability to play with them, where you normally would not be able to, it's a good thing. But in terms of sound, I have reservations for that. So just keep that in mind, Hobo Bob says, still have a nice room filled with great speakers, and Marantz or Macintosh is still something I aim for. I have a Marantz unit as well. I haven't gotten rid of it yet, and it's still there. I have probably just right beside me here. I probably have for a couple of hundred CDs that I haven't used in a long time, and I still had some vinyl, and I gave them to my nephew. I regret getting rid of that because honestly, nothing beats old vinyl. Vox says, I buy old component stereo amps to run guitar through. I use my Marantz rack stereo in my shop. Still sounds fantastic. You can't beat it, man. And the speakers, the full-size speakers are great. Nowadays, we're used to hearing music out of little things like this that sound like tin cans. Not the same. Definitely not the same. Yeah, if you're using it with headphones and you're getting the stereo effect in your headphones, a good set of cans goes a long way, man. Definitely more than the little devices that they're coming out with that are Bluetooth. They're definitely not going to get the same effect, but a good set of headphones, yeah, I have no problem with that. Well, guys, I think we're going to wrap it up. We've been on here for an hour and a half. I think we're coming up to closing time. I don't know if there's anything else you guys wanted to ask. Oh, yes, I'm going to answer one question that was actually posted on one of my videos. Somebody had asked me the King of Clone pedal that I have, which is a clone of the King of Tone, which I did a review on not long ago. They were asking me specifically about that pedal and asking if playing that pedal in an 18-watt mode, how I felt about it. And it definitely sounds better. And yes, it can be played in 18-watt mode, just like the original one. And it sounds great. And I highly recommend that you use it in that mode. So the answer is yes, it can be done. And yes, I highly recommend it. So I hope that answers the question. I have a good blues CD and vinyl collection. Another reason I want to get back into playing, but it's been almost 20 years since I last put time into it, and it's not like riding a bicycle. I don't know, Hobo Bob, it kind of is. I think if you were playing regularly in the past, yeah, you'll get back into it quickly, man. Just start playing, man. The best time to start was yesterday. The second best time is today. So just do it. Whippersnappers. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, the problem is that the manufacturers want a $2,000 piece order to make anything that is not in their catalog. That's the problem. Yep. Have I tried the Strymon Iridium or the Walrus ACS1? Those are on my to try list. I haven't tried them yet. The Strymon stuff is great. I think it's really good. I just didn't have an opportunity to get one, or one hasn't come my way yet. But eventually I will probably get my hands on one and do a review. There's a whole bunch of stuff over here, guys, that I haven't reviewed yet in terms of pedals and stuff. I just don't have the time to do it all, but there's going to be more stuff coming for sure. And I think I'm also going to do a few more videos for you guys where I'm actually working on the guitars, because I had put some videos out in terms of guitar maintenance, setting up guitars, resolving issues, basically, a workbench type video collection at one point, which got a little bit of traction. But I think it's always nice to document these things for people that are trying to learn and don't have a good resource. I'm not saying I know everything about it, but I do know things that work for me or have worked in the past. So I think having that out there for you guys might be helpful to some degree. So I probably will end up doing that at some point as well. So that's it for now, guys. Thank you for tuning in. There's going to be another show next Sunday, same time, same place. So come prepared with your questions. And if you guys have anything specific that you want to reach out to me for, I can always be reached through the chat or through my email. I think the email's listed on YouTube or something like that. So definitely feel welcome to send me questions. A lot of you do that after the events, after the shows, or between videos. And I like hearing from you guys, so please don't hesitate if you want to reach out and contact me. You're welcome, William. My pleasure. Thank you, Guitars Rock. And Paul, thank you for the information. You're always a very helpful viewer with a lot of great information for us all, so I appreciate that as well. So guys, stay safe until next Sunday. And don't forget, there's going to be a giveaway for that little unit that I showed you. It's our little secret, but you have a heads up on that. So I'll be posting that this week, all right? Have a good week, rest of the week, you guys. Keep rocking, and don't forget to practice, all right? See you soon.